Breaking as of July 2026. Trial date confirmed September 21, 2026. Lamarre-Condon has confirmed no mental health defense. His mother, Colleen Lamarre, is separately facing court for witness tampering.
On the morning of February 19, 2024, a neighbor on Brown Street in Paddington heard gunshots and screaming coming from the terrace house next door. 4 minutes later, an emergency call came through to 000 from a mobile phone registered to a man named Luke Davies. The operator could hear a man screaming, "Get out, get out," before the line went completely silent. A police patrol car was dispatched. It drove slowly down Brown Street. It did not stop. And inside that terrace house, 2 men were already dead, shot with a police-issued Glock pistol. The man who killed them had signed that pistol out 3 days earlier, claiming he needed it for an off-duty detail. He was a senior constable in the New South Wales Police Force. And the person who called the police about the murder was the same person who had committed it. This is the story of Jesse Baird, Luke Davies, and the man who couldn't accept that it was over. Jesse Allen Baird was born on September 4, 1997, in Melbourne, Victoria. He grew up in the northeastern suburbs of the city and from early on displayed 2 distinct passions, performance and sport, that he would develop simultaneously across his entire adult life. At Loyola College, he began umpiring AFL football, a discipline he would pursue for over a decade, eventually officiating 62 official AFL matches, including 2 finals. He won the Brian Pratt Medallion for Most Promising Umpire in both 2020 and 2021. In parallel, he moved to Brisbane at the age of 19 to pursue a television career, joining Network 10 flagship children's show Totally Wild. He hosted a gaming show on 10 Peach. He worked as a red carpet entertainment reporter on Studio 10, appearing at premieres, interviewing celebrities, building a public profile that was warm, approachable, and immediately likable. When Studio 10 was canceled in late 2023, Jesse moved back toward the AFL umpiring world, resuming a career he had maintained throughout his television years. He was 26 years old. He had built something genuinely impressive across 2 completely different professional fields. He had recently met a man named Luke Davies, a Qantas international flight attendant, and by early 2024 they were together, happy in the way that new couples are, visible together on social media looking forward. They went to the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras opening night party on February 18th. They came home together. Neither of them left. I want to say something about Luke Davies before we go any further. In almost every piece of coverage I have read about this case, Luke appears as a secondary figure, Jesse Baird and his partner, as though his connection to Jesse is the only thing that matters about him. He was 29 years old. He was a Qantas international flight attendant who had relocated from Brisbane to Sydney. He had his own life, his own friends, his own future. He was not a footnote in Jesse's story. He was in that house because he cared about Jesse. That is why he died. And he deserves to be remembered as a person rather than as a detail. Before he was a police officer, Beaumont Lamarre-Condon was something that sounds almost comedic in retrospect, a self-styled celebrity blogger and red carpet chaser. He spent years attending Sydney events, inserting himself into photographs with famous people, cultivating a social media presence built around proximity to fame. He photographed himself with Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, and Harry Styles. He curated an identity centered entirely around other people's celebrity. In 2019, he joined the New South Wales Police Force, a career shift that gave him something his previous life as a fame-adjacent blogger had not: genuine institutional authority. He became a senior constable, stationed at Bondi Police Station in Sydney South. He participated in the annual Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras parade in his police uniform. He presented publicly as progressive, community-minded, proud of his identity as a gay officer in a uniformed service. And at some point, the exact timeline is a matter of ongoing legal dispute, he met Jesse Baird. Police allege Lamarre-Condon developed an obsession with Jesse Baird following a brief relationship, falsely claiming to friends that they were still together long after Jesse had ended things. In August 2023, Baird's home was broken into. Investigators later linked that break-in to Lamarre-Condon's escalating campaign. Friends of Jesse's described Lamarre-Condon as a stalker, someone Jesse barely knew, who had constructed an elaborate private fiction about their relationship. Police alleged the killings followed months of predatory behavior targeting Baird, who had ended the relationship. By February 2024, Jesse had moved on. He was with Luke. He was happy, and Lamarre-Condon had signed out his service pistol for a weekend detail he had no intention of attending. The timeline of what followed has been reconstructed by investigators with extraordinary precision. On Friday, February 16th, 3 days before the murders, Lamarre-Condon signed his force-issued Glock pistol out of Bondi Police Station. His stated reason was an off-duty user pays protest detail over the weekend. On Saturday, February 17th, he purchased a large surfboard bag from a Sydney store. On the Sunday evening, Jesse and Luke attended the opening night party for the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras at the Beresford Hotel in Surrey Hills. CCTV places them there, happy, surrounded by people who knew them. They came home to Brown Street together that night. The next morning, Monday, February 19th, neighbors heard gunshots. The emergency call was placed at 9:54 a.m. The patrol car that was dispatched drove down the street and kept moving. By that afternoon, Lamarre-Condon had purchased a second identical surfboard bag. By 9:30 p.m., he had rented a white Toyota Hi-Ace van from Sydney Airport. CCTV cameras captured it parked outside Jesse's home while the bodies were loaded inside. A police officer signed a gun out of a station on a Friday, purchased a surfboard bag on a Saturday, and killed 2 people on a Monday morning. 3 days of preparation. 3 days in which the institutional system he was part of saw nothing unusual. He was a uniformed officer. He signed the weapon out through the proper channel. The system worked exactly as it was designed to, and it handed a murder weapon to a man who had been stalking his former partner for months. That is the question that this case is going to force Australia to answer. What Lamarre-Condon did after the murders reveals the depth of the planning. He returned his service pistol to Bondi Police Station on Tuesday, February 20th. He then accessed Jesse's mobile phone and sent fake text messages to Jesse's friends and colleagues, explaining why he had missed his scheduled AFL umpiring assignment that weekend, manufacturing a timeline that suggested Jesse was alive and simply unavailable. He was erasing the gap, giving himself time. On Wednesday, February 21st at 11 a.m., workers discovered a skip bin in Cronulla containing blood-soaked clothing, credit cards, keys, and an $8,000 watch belonging to Luke Davies. Police raided Jesse's Paddington address that same morning. Inside, they found overturned furniture, heavy blood spatters, and a spent police cartridge casing on the floor. They knew then. That afternoon, Lamarre-Condon drove the white van to a rural property near Bungonia, approximately 150 kilometres southwest of Sydney, accompanied by a female acquaintance who was entirely unaware of what was in the bags in the back of the van. He used an angle grinder purchased on the way to cut through the property gates. He entered alone for 30 minutes. That night, he returned to move the bodies to a secondary location, apparently fearing his companion might eventually reveal where they had been. On Thursday, he drove to Newcastle and asked a former officer if he could use a garden hose to wash out the back of the van. On Friday, February 23rd, he walked into Bondi Police Station and surrendered. 4 days after 2 people had died in a Paddington terrace, the man who killed them handed himself in to colleagues at a beachside police station. Following information from Lamarre-Condon, police located the bodies of Jesse Baird and Luke Davies submerged inside surfboard bags in a dam on the Bungonia property on February 27th. Detective Sergeant Sasha Pineza, the officer who led the search for the bodies, gave a press conference when they were finally found on February 27th. She said, "I am exhausted. I barely have eaten or slept. We went home last night extremely deflated, but it's not in our nature to give up. So we rallied again this morning." I think about that sentence a lot when I work through this case. She and her team had spent days searching waterways and rural properties for two people her colleagues were responsible for killing. The institution that created Lamarre-Condon, that gave him his weapon, that dispatched a patrol car that drove past the crime scene. That same institution produced Sasha Pinaza, who barely slept until she found them. Both of those things are true simultaneously. The Jesse Baird and Luke Davies case has forced a public reckoning with several institutional failures that cannot be separated from the tragedy itself. Lamarre-Condon was a serving police officer with a stalking history that was reportedly known in some form within his social circle before February 2024. He was able to sign out a service weapon through a standard administrative process with no additional scrutiny. The patrol car dispatched to Brown Street after the 000 call, a call in which screaming was clearly audible, did not stop at the address. These are not peripheral details. They are questions about whether a different institutional response at any of several points could have saved two lives. The NSW Police Force has since announced a review of its weapon sign-out procedures. The broader question of how stalking allegations against serving officers are investigated and escalated remains politically active in New South Wales. Lamarre-Condon became the first serving NSW police officer charged with murder in several decades. His trial for 2 counts of murder and 1 count of aggravated break and enter is scheduled to begin on September 21st, 2026. He has confirmed he will not use a mental health defense. He has pleaded not guilty. His mother, Colin Lamarre, herself a former NSW police officer, has been separately charged with attempting to pervert the course of justice for allegedly trying to influence a key witness to change their testimony. A mother and son, both former officers of the same institution, now both facing serious criminal charges connected to the same case. The trial has not yet begun. All allegations against both remain untested before a jury. Both are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. On March 7th, 2024, the opening round of the AFL season, umpires across Australia paused before matches to honor Jesse Baird and Luke Davies. AFL officials read their names aloud in grounds across the country. The sport Jesse had dedicated himself to for 13 years, 62 matches, 2 finals, the Brian Pratt Medallion, an entire parallel career running alongside his television work, stopped for a moment and said his name. It was a small thing in the scale of everything else, but I thought about it for a long time after I read it. He had built 2 careers simultaneously, in television and in sport, because he loved both. Both of them stopped to honor him. That is who Jesse Baird was. That is what was taken. A trial is coming. Evidence will be tested. A jury will decide what happened in a terrace house in Paddington on the morning of February 19th, 2024. But 2 things are not in dispute and never will be. Jesse Allen Baird was 26 years old. He had 62 AFL matches and a television career and a new relationship that made him happy. Luke Davies was 29 years old. He was a Qantas flight attendant who had moved from Brisbane to Sydney for a future he deserved to have. They went to a party on a Sunday night and came home together. They should have been safe. Subscribe to Vault of Crime. We cover the cases that deserve more than a headline and the people inside them who deserve to be more than a name in a news article. We will see you in the next one.